Well, hi everyone, and greetings from Northern Michigan. This is Bob the Science Guy. Go ahead and give me a quick audio check out there. Getting ready to get everything started here. As you see the telescope's up and running, we're going to start looking for asteroids here in a minute, but I want to make sure that the stream is running properly first. Okay, so we're back on right now. We're looking pretty much in the area of the iridium sinus right here. Let me go ahead and just adjust the brightness a little bit so that we can see it a little bit better. There's a couple of things I want to point out real quick. Now, can you guys see can you see my cursor with this? If not, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Let me know if you can see the cursor. Well, like I said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. What we'll do is we'll go over and do this a little bit different. All right. I'm thinking, though, that you can see that. Everybody see the crosshairs? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move these around a little bit so that we can look at some things. This object right here at the center of the crosshairs, and I'm going to go ahead and take them off real quick so you can see it. That's Mount Pinnan, and that is a 6,000-foot mountain on the moon. The large oval crater you see up about 1 o'clock or 1 or 2 o'clock from that is the crater Plato. But here's something that we don't get to see very much, especially as the moon gets towards the full position, and that's the Alpine Valley. Now, these are the lunar Alps right here, this whole mountain range that you can see coming through here. These are all the lunar Alps. And if you look very carefully right there, you'll see a diagonal line that goes from the 11 o'clock position down to about the 5 o'clock position. That is the Alpine Valley of the moon. Now, one of the problems that you run into with looking at the moon is the fact that the atmosphere shimmers quite a bit, and you can clearly see that here. We're also getting a few clouds going by, as you can tell. We're supposed to have excellent weather for the entire evening, but we do have a few clouds just kind of sneaking through here and there. So let me go on over to the chat and I'll kind of give you an idea of what our game plan is tonight. What do you mean you're not seeing images of the moon? Hang on, it changed here for a second. Let's go ahead and put it back where it belongs. Well, let's try this again. I'm going to go back over to this window. Now, can you see the cursor now? Just let me know if you can see the cursor. If not, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this crosshair on the crater Plato, which is right there. You should see the crosshair on the crater Plato, and you should see my cursor down around 5 o'clock. Or you did there for a second. I'm going to go back and check and see if you guys are spotting it. Okay, so Judy, now you're seeing the cursor? Okay, no cursor. But you did see the crosshairs though, right? I really hate this delay because I don't want to move on unless you guys can see what we're doing here. Well, I can see the crosshairs, so I'm gonna assume that you guys can too. So right here is Mount Pinon, and that's 6,000 feet in elevation. So you see where it is, and that's what it looks like on the moon. Now we're a little bit overexposed right now, so let me see if I can fix that a little bit. There we go. So that's Mount Pinon. Right here is the crater Plato. Now right here is an interesting feature. If you look carefully, right where that cursor, or right where the crosshair is, and I'm going to go ahead and take it off, but just remember right where it was, you'll see a dark line that goes from about 11 o'clock down through where the bullseye was, or the crosshairs were, down to about 5 o'clock. This mountain range is the Lunar Alps, and that is the Alpine Valley. It's a very long, straight feature, and it's kind of difficult to see during a full moon. But when you get a little bit of oblique lighting, you can clearly see that this is a Grand Canyon-like feature. So we'll go ahead and just kind of look at the moon here for just a second, and then we're going to go start the asteroid hunt tonight. It should be getting dark enough. Now, just to kind of point out some features, that's the Sea of Crisis. This dark area right here is the Sea of Tranquility. This is the Sea of Fertility. That is the Sea of Nectar. This is the Sea of Serenity. And let me see if I can find it here real quick. Now, the first landing on the moon was located approximately right here. And the final landing on the moon I think was in this little dark area right here. That would be Apollo 17. Let's go see what's going on. We got a couple more people in the chat yet? Yeah, you're not going to see the cursor for some reason, but you will see the crosshairs, and I'll use that to point things out. as we go on tonight. So let's take this over to the other room, and we're going to get started on the asteroid hunt. I'm going to go gather up some of my notes, and we're going to have a look at some asteroids. So I'll be right back with you. Had to feed the cats real quick. All right. So everybody can see me okay? What we're going to do is we're going to go over to the observatory computer. Now, first thing that we're going to find out is currently, let's go see what time it is. It's 2:28 a.m. on Tuesday, the 8th of September in Universal Coordinated Time. So that's what we're going to be using in the future, or that's what we're going to be using to find our asteroids. So today is the 8th. The hour is 2. And we're looking at about 2:28. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and submit this to this web page, which is on the minorplanetcenter.net, and it's called What's Up in the Index. So you put in your location, and then you hit submit, or in the time, and you hit submit, and it'll give you an idea of what's up in the sky right now. Now, let's go see what kind of asteroids we have here. Now, when you look at these things, here's the designation of the asteroid right here. And this is the magnitude of the asteroid. These are all near-Earth asteroids. Let's just go for regular old asteroids out in the asteroid belt. So we'll just change that over to asteroid, and we'll hit submit. And here we go. Now, our first target tonight is going to be Juno. Let me grab something real quick. Now last night we had a look at Juno and we got some observations on it. And in order to make a valid report to the Minor Planet Center, what we need to do is we need to have a look at it on 2 separate days. So we looked at it yesterday and we're going to look at it again today. Now, based on our location and the time, Juno is going to be located at 23 hours, 0 minutes, 14.2 seconds in right ascension, and -4 degrees, 10 minutes, and 42 seconds in declination. So, did that thing pop over there again? No, we should be reading this. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make this a little bit smaller. And we're going to go over here to Astrophotography tool. And we're going to go up here to where it says gear. Now right here, you can put in a target. You see where that flashing cursor is? Just above the lit up button that says Point Craft on the right. So the first thing that we're going to do is put in the right ascension, which is going to be 23 hours, space, 00 minutes, space, 14.2 seconds. And then right underneath it, we're going to put the declination, which is going to be -0.04 degrees, space, 10 minutes, space, 42 seconds. And then what we're going to do is we're going to tell the telescope to go to that location. While we do that, I'm going to disconnect the camera here. Let's make sure that everything's looking good over here. Yep, seems like everything's coming through. See, the telescope is still slewing. You can see that in the upper left. Now I'm going to take my picture off right now because I don't really add anything to this. The main thing is on the screen, so we need to see what's going on there. Now, we've got a C up here in the upper left. That means that we're at our location. So let's take an image of that, of what the telescope's looking at right now. And then I'm going to go over here to Point Craft and I'm going to hit Scope Position. And that will put in where the telescope thinks it's looking. So there's the image, and I'm going to plate solve that. And then I'm going to sync the telescope to where it actually is rather than where it thinks it's looking. Now I'm going to go back over here to the go-to where we have our coordinates, and I'm going to slew to that. We should be slightly off of it. Now it's settling. There's not really a need to take another image. We were very close on the first one, and we just had to make a little tweak to it. So now we're going to set our camera up over here in SharpCap. So we set up the ZWO 533mm monochrome camera, and we're going to set it up for asteroids. This is some presetting that I already have in there. Our exposure time is not going to be 180 seconds. This is a very bright asteroid. So we're going to go for about 30 seconds. Right there. We're going to type in Juno as our target and hit Live Stack. Now when you do live stack, a couple things you have to be sure of, and that is down here on the extreme right, you'll see the histogram. That needs to be neutralized out with a little circle. Likewise underneath it, on the main histogram at the bottom, we want to hit the little circle thing and put that out to 0 as well. So here's our first image coming through. Now, I suspect that that's Juno right in the very center of the screen. What we're going to do is we're going to take 10 minutes worth of images of this asteroid. And while we do that, we're going to start a program called Tycho Asteroid Tracker. This is made by a really nice guy. And this is what we're going to do to evaluate our images once we have them. So, enjoy that for about 10 minutes, and then we'll be back and we're going to find our first asteroid. It's a really neat process how we do it, and I think you'll enjoy it. Sorry, Missy just got a bell and she insists on scratching her collar, sitting right next to me while I'm live streaming. It's just the way she is. Okay, so we're taking our images, and as you can see, we've got 11 images 11 images taken right now. 12. So we've got 4 more minutes to go. And then the magic will begin. Anybody have any questions so far? You know what we're doing? We're just taking a series of images of the same spot in the sky. Now, depending on how bright the asteroid is, that will determine how long we need to take the images for. For a magnitude 10 asteroid or a 6 asteroid like Juno, we really only need to take 30-second images. If you start getting to a magnitude 17 or 18 asteroid, which is much dimmer, you may have to take 3-minute images for an hour. That's what I'll be doing after, towards the end of this broadcast tonight. But right now, my task is to get these asteroids that I saw last night. They were relatively bright ones. I've got to generate a list of observations on 2 different nights of 6 named asteroids and 1 near-Earth asteroid. So we're going to go ahead and do that tonight. I did the first set last night. We'll do the second set tonight together. So let's go see where we are. 2.5 minutes to go. Now, at first I thought that was a star last night because it's so large and bright, but that's actually the asteroid Juno right in the center of the field. That's how good this software is from the Minor Planet Center. And I'll show you that real quick. Now you go here to the Minor Planet Center at Harvard, and then you go under Observers, down here to where it says Other Observer Services. Did I hit the wrong one there? So when you get a set of observations, what you can do is you can put those right here in this box, and it will actually try and identify that object for you based on their database. So let's go ahead and make this small for a second. Okay, we're at 18, so we're got about 30 seconds to go. Here we go. And there's 20. So we're going to hit save, and we're going to stop the live stack. Now we're going to go over this program called Tycho Asteroid Tracker. And it's not a free program. It costs $50. But I'll tell you, it's invaluable for doing this kind of work. And the guy that wrote it, Daniel, is just outstanding. Now here are the raw frames that we just took. We just took 20 of them. And we're going to select those and open them up here. So now that puts it into our image manager. And then we're going to go over here to where it says action, and we're going to go down to express mode. Now this is going to do a number of things to these images. It's going to look at each of the images, and first thing it's going to do, it's going to calibrate them. And what that means is that it's going to make sure the background is of a uniform color and the exposure is uniform in all of them. So each one may be a little bit different. There may have been a cloud or some mist going through or something or other that may have caused a little difference in the background color. This will even it out. Then it'll resize the images so that they all are at the same scale. And it'll align them, and then it'll plate solve the first image, and then it'll evaluate the quality of those images. So let's go ahead and hit start and let it do its magic. And as you see, it's going through all the images and making sure that everything's just right. Otis is looking at me with hate in his eyes for some reason. I think he wants to go out. You want to go out, Otis? Come on. Now here it's done, and it gives us a little report on everything. This first window down here that has the bluish center and the brown or yellowish border around it, and it's got a bunch of dots around a line, that evaluates the focus. And as you can see, the focus on each of the images is pretty good. This is another evaluation of quality, and it passed all of the checks. And you notice our images are all gone. That's because it took the images and put them in a new folder. The process folders are raw frames CA. So we're going to go in there and we're going to pull those images up. And got all 20 images past muster. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back over here to the action menu and do something called synthetic tracker. And we're going to look for movement in these stacked images. All right. So it looks like we got 2 asteroids here. Let's see this one right here and see if this turns out to be anything. I don't see anything there. So that was a false detection. Now here's Juno. Now, you may think that this is just looking at a star. It's not. Look down at about 8 o'clock. You're going to see a star in the background, and then there's another one out there around 3:30 by the right side. What it's doing is it's tracking this bright object as it moves relative to these other stars. Remember, we only have 10 minutes worth of movement here. And this is a true detection. This is the asteroid Juno. So what we're going to do here is we're going to generate a set of observations. And this gives us 3 orbital elements right here. So it's looked at 3 of the images, and it's calculated the orbital elements of this object based on each of those images. So we have 3 sets of them. Now what we're going to do is put those into a text file. Open that text file, and here are our 3 observations. Each one has 2 lines. So we're going to copy the last observation. And then we're going to go over here to the Minor Planet Center checker. And we're going to paste those right in here. Now, let's go see if we found an asteroid. And if so, what asteroid? Take a few minutes to work. Okay, so right here, it says the most likely is that that asteroid is the asteroid Juno. And if you look at the variation from predicted, you'll see I'm dead on right ascension, 0.0, and I'm 0.1. I'm within 0.1 arc seconds of its predicted path on my observation. So that's a good set of observations. Now, we've got 6 more to go. So I'm going to go ahead and head over to the chat for a second, see if anybody has any questions, and then we're going to go ahead and while I do that, I'm going to find the coordinates for the next asteroid that we're looking for. And we'll get it taken care of. What on earth did those cats do with my paper? There it is. Okay, so we have our first asteroid, and that's pretty cool. Now, we're going to look for another asteroid now, and I'm going to see which one is available. So what I need to do first is I need to update the time. And our last time was 2:28. It's now 2:54. And we're going to recheck. Looks like Cleopatra is going to be up, and that, I think, is going to be our next target. But let's get an accurate location for it first. And according to this, we've gotten Juno. Cleopatra is going to be up, and it's going to be at 22 hours, 55 minutes, 5.4 seconds in RA, and plus 12 degrees, 6 minutes, and 24 seconds in declination. So let's go over and do the process again. So we're going back here to Astrophotography tool. We're going to go to the mount, and we're going to put our coordinates in right here. So the first one is 22 hours, space 55 minutes, space 5.4 seconds. And then right here underneath, just above the Go To button, we have 12 degrees, 6 minutes, and 24 seconds. Then we're going to hit Go To. Turn the camera off here, because you can't have the camera on both locations, and we need it right now for plate solving. So it's made its slew, it's settled, and now here it is. We're going to go ahead and get an image and solve it. Okay. So we put in the scope position where the scope thinks it is. We've solved it. We're synchronizing it. And we're going to hit go to again. And now we should be absolutely centered on the asteroid Cleopatra. That may actually be it right there in the middle. Okay, we'll turn the camera off there. Turn it on here. Load up our settings for asteroid hunting. We're going to change the time to 30 seconds. We're going to put the name of the asteroid in as Cleopatra. Yeah, I know that's not how I would spell Cleopatra either, but that's the way they do it. And we're going to hit live stack. Clear out the old one. We're going to take a few images here, about 10 minutes worth of images. There's the first one. That's probably Cleopatra right in the center of the field. You get a good polar alignment on a telescope with a good mount, and you put in good coordinates. You get good placement of your image. It's as simple as that. I'll put links to the Minor Planet Center pages that we use for this, and I'll put a link in to Tycho Asteroid Tracker. You can download a evaluation copy of it, which is fully functional for 30 days. Decide if it's something that you want. The key to doing this is to have a decent telescope. You don't need a real powerful telescope. You need one that has good resolution though. And then you need an excellent mount, one that you can take 3-minute images with all day long without breaking a sweat. Okay, what causes a star shape or a crosshair? No, William, I haven't used that. Well, what causes a star shape or a crosshair? The reason that those are called refraction spikes. And what happens with those is that the way my telescope is designed, there is a primary mirror in the bottom of it, and there's a secondary mirror up by the opening of the telescope. That secondary mirror has to be supported by something. In a Schmidt-Cassegrain, there's a glass corrector plate that secondary mirror sits in. Well, there's no corrector plate on a Ritchey-Chrétien telescope. And as a result, you have to have what's called a spider, which are little bitty supports that go into it. There are 4 of them. And because of those sharp edges, you get those diffraction spikes. I'm going to go turn off this light behind me. Hang on. They're a little bit better. So let's go see where we are. So we've got 7 minutes to go, 6.5 almost. Now, one thing that you can do while you look at this is you can actually increase the magnification up to 100%. Just have a quick look at the stars. Now, this is without guiding. This is just my scope tracking. And as you can see, I've got nice round stars. My focus isn't all that bad. You know, on the magnification, the stars look a little fuzzy sometimes. But my focus is actually pretty good on this. Sorry about the bell ringing. It's not Christmas. That's Missy the cat, who is irritated that we got her a collar with a bell, so she sits down and bats at it constantly. And by the way, guess what we have in our house right now? And it's not beer. So we got a couple more minutes. Let's see if we've got any more questions in the chat. This is basically, yeah, exactly like the James Webb. That's why James Webb has six of them? Something like that. And that has to do with the support of the mirror. Oh, I don't see any new questions in here. Everybody got this all figured out? Got 8 people watching and 5 likes. We're doing pretty good. We're over 50%. So again, right in the center of that field, I believe, is the asteroid Cleopatra. Now, there may be some others in there. One of the advantages of really bright asteroids is you only need very short exposure times. However, not all asteroids are really bright. So if you're using short exposure times, you're taking a trade-off, and that is that you're going to miss asteroids that are magnitude 14 and dimmer. So there may be more asteroids than just Cleopatra right here. But to be honest with you, Cleopatra is the one that I need. And I'm trying to get the biggest bang for my buck in the quickest period of time. I've got to be able to get these asteroids knocked out. Then I can go, once I get my observatory code from the Minor Planet Center, I can sit down and do science just for the sake of science, but I've got to get that code first. So we're going to kind of run through and get these bad boys. Let's go see where we are. Imagine sitting here and waiting 3 hours for one of these things to get done. When you look at these beautiful images of deep sky objects that you see in textbooks and on the news and stuff, there's some guy like me with a telescope in his backyard that over the course of 4 nights got 16 hours worth of images before he could even look at it and see anything. And then you got to put all those images together. You have to stack them. You have to color balance them. You've got to deal with different filters and things like that. The amount of work that goes into one of those images is on the order of, basically a full day of my time to do something like that. Whereas with live stacking, like we're doing right now, we can get a quick and dirty image pretty quickly. And, for what I'm doing right now, I don't need the subtle details of the nebulosities. I just basically need to see whether or not something's moving. And that's why we're using a black and white camera, because the grain is finer, because of the way the pixels work. And we're just basically looking for the movement. So we've got about 3 minutes to go. Actually, 2.5. Let's go see if we have any other questions up here. So there's no trails, and that's normal. Yes, that's the sign of good tracking. What you want is nice round stars with time exposures. That means that your mount is tracking the star. If you get a trail, it means your mount and the star are moving at different speeds, and that gives you a blurry and poor quality image. That's why we get really good quality images with a good tracking mount. I sat down and I tried to think of something that I really wanted to do, and I've come up with an 11-part series broken into 2 sections. One is lessons learned in astronomy over the last couple of years, and I'm going to talk about what guided my choices with the equipment that I got, what were my goals, how did I choose which telescope to use, what's the most important thing that you spend money on. You know, for example, a lot of people would be surprised, but if you spend $1,000 or $4,000 on a mount that works really well, and you put a $200 telescope on it, you're going to get beautiful pictures. The telescope is not what you should be putting your money into. You need to get a good quality telescope, but your money is best spent on getting a really good mount. Missy, stop that. And as you know, that's something that I learned kind of the hard way, because I had a really good mount, but the other thing is the mount wasn't designed for what I was doing. I had an LX200 mount. I had a really good one from George Dudash, but that is a visual mount. It is not an astrophotography mount. It's not a German equatorial mount, even though there was a wedge on it. It just didn't have the precision to do 3 and 5 minute exposures. This thing, I can do 5-minute exposures without too much trouble. See where we are. Okay, we're coming up on 19, so we're almost done. And there we go. So we're going to save that. Turn off live stack. We're going to go back over here. Let's clear out all this crap. Okay, so let's load up some new images. So today we are at Cleopatra. This one was yesterday's image taken at 12:40 a.m. Here's our image tonight, which was completed at 11:07 p.m. That's the one that we want. We go to the raw frames. We select all 20 of them, open them up. That puts them in our image list. Then we go over to Express Processing, and we normalize all of the images, align them, do plate solving on them. And then we start looking for some, then we find some tracks and start looking for some asteroids. Okay, again, notice the focus goes up and down a little bit. That has to do with the atmosphere. All right. That's not an actual focus issue. What that is an atmospheric seeing issue. And once again, the images are processed, so they're off of here. So we're going to go up, go down to the processed images and put them in here. And go to synthetic tracking and see if there are any tracks. First one's looking kind of promising, isn't it? Now, so we definitely got Cleopatra. It seems to think it sees something here, but we're going to have a quick look. You know, there actually might be something there, but it's too faint for me to call. Let's look at Cleopatra. Yeah, I think that's it. So, again, you got this bright object right here. Notice all of these other stars are moving together, but that one's still. So we're focusing on this, and it's moving relative to the other stars. So that is most definitely an asteroid. Let's do our observations. Oh, you know what I forgot to do here? Forgot to save it. Hang on. Okay, so here are our observations, and we're going to add that to our file, and that's our check file here. Select. No, we don't want to overwrite anything. We want to add to it. Now we go up here and check it. Now we have 2 tracks. This is the 3rd one of the 3. Oops, hit the wrong one. My bad, sorry about that. That's the one I wanted. So we're going to replace these observations with the ones I just made. And now let's have a look and see what we found. By the way, I'm going to put the link into the program that tells me where to point the telescope based on my location. The reason that I'm not showing it live is that it is based on my location. It will locate Shamrock Banks Observatory within about 10 feet for people with nefarious intent. So you see right here, our best match is the asteroid Cleopatra. And as you can tell, here's our observer accuracy. Again, we're within 1/10 of an arc second. So that's a good observation. I'm happy with that. Let's do another one. Now, currently, it is 11:13. So what I have to do is I have to actually change the time again to 3:13. I'm going to go ahead and submit it. Let's go find another one that I need to get. Next one is the asteroid Intermanenia, which is a magnitude 10.4 asteroid. And its location, according to this, is 21 hours, 8 minutes, 14 seconds right ascension, plus 5 degrees, 6 minutes, 55 seconds in declination. So we go back and we repeat the process. You know, science isn't all eureka moments. Science is hard work. And this is part of the hard work of science. You have to go through every one of these things one at a time, and you have to do it again and again and again and again. And only then can you sit down and say, you know, I think I might have something here. I'm just cleaning up this, getting in preparation for the next one. So we're going back over here. Going to disconnect the camera in SharpCap. We're going to connect it in Astrophotography Tool. Go over here to the gear, and we're going to say we want to go to 21 hours, 8 minutes, 14 seconds in right ascension. And we want to go to 05, 06, 55 in declination. And while it's sitting there saloon, let's go check the chat real quick. See what we have going on over here. Still got 7 people watching. I guess I'm not all that boring. Seeing conditions are okay. I do have some high clouds, not too bad. The atmosphere is a little bumpy tonight. And but other than that, as you can tell, I'm getting pretty decent images. I'm very pleased with these images that I've got. Now, you guys saw the movement in that last when we looked at Cleopatra, you could see the movement of that, couldn't you? You see it's very slight, but we're only looking at 10 minutes worth of movement. When you do 3 hours worth of imaging, the movement is quite a bit more. Let's get back over here and see whether or not we're where we're supposed to be yet. And we are. Let's go ahead and take a shot. So you take a 10-second shot to make sure you're not looking at a tree or something, That's probably it right there. But we're going to find out. We're synced. So we find out what the telescope is actually looking at. We sync the mount to that location, and then we re-slew to the location that we wanted to go in the first place. And that should bring our target pretty much right to the center of the screen. It can be off a little bit, but it'll definitely be within the field. Well, maybe that's not it. Maybe that one isn't it. Maybe it's that little dot right in the center of the screen. We're going to find out soon enough, though. Okay. Start our live stack. And we take another 10 minutes. So if you look at the very center of the screen, that's probably the asteroid right there. But we shall find out. Well, let's give it a couple minutes to run. Well, we've got about 5 minutes to go. Let's head back over to the live stream and see what's going on over there. Well, Rodman, it goes pretty fast because I set it up ahead of time, right? Well, I did know the targets that I was looking at tonight because I searched for them last night, and I got observations on about a dozen different asteroids. So what I'm doing right now is I'm looking to see what's available right now and comparing it to my list from last night. And if I have a target on both lists, I'll go ahead and shoot it. Now, the reason it's going relatively fast tonight is that I'm shooting on rather bright asteroids. I mean, this asteroid is a magnitude 10. That's pretty bright, and it's pretty obvious to see. Now, when you get to the fainter ones, like, you know, I'm hitting magnitude 19, 20, 22s. Those take a longer time exposure, sometimes as much as 3 minutes, and that requires guiding. And you know, it just takes a lot longer. It takes an hour for a set rather than 10 minutes, because you need at least 20 images. You know, the program requires 11, but I like to have 20 in case a cloud comes overhead and I don't want to waste the entire set. So now, if it's 5 o'clock in the morning there, I think that you've done your duty for king and country. And, you know, if you happen to fall asleep, I can deal with that. Hey, Sean. You know, that would be a good thing to do. Sean, go ahead and post your link to your channel right now. While we're waiting for these things to come through, go on over and hit up Sean's channel. Give him a little like and subscribe. He's an interesting guy. Has done some really nice experiments with me in the past. I actually bought one of my favorite telescope is one I bought from him. So he's a good guy. Go over and check out his channel. Show him a little Google love. Hit him up with a subscribe, maybe give him a like or two. Put a couple comments up. Sean, go ahead and put a link to your live stream in there, please. Let's go see where we are now. We're at 15. We got 2.5 minutes. Well, we got 2 minutes to go. I'm betting that's going to be it right in the center. I'll show you the different zooms that you can do on this one. You know, for those of you that are having trouble seeing the movement, I'll zoom in, zoom out a little bit so you can see it a little better. You know, the other reason it's going kind of fast tonight is that I made all my mistakes last night. That makes it a lot easier, you know what I mean? Just doing a quick housekeeping here. Remember I told you I forgot to save the tracks from this one? I'm going to go ahead and run them real quick while I'm waiting for the last images or two. And that's all there is to it. And here we are, 20 seconds to spare. All right, let's go find an asteroid. Okay, first we normalize the images. Then we use synthetic tracker to look for tracks, which is, basically a moving object. Focus is still looking good. Well, looks like we only have the one. You see that's definitely moving? And that was what we thought it was. See it? That's definitely moving in relationship to the background. So that's a good observation. Let's check the next one out here. I don't see anything else. Okay. Create an observation. There we go. Well, the number is 704. So let's go see if we can find which one that is. There it is. So we're going to pull up the last one there, copy it. Looks like we got it. Looks like we have a good observation. All right. Off to the next one.